Okay, thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. It's Monday, October 13th, 2025. It's time for our regularly scheduled city council meeting. The clerk certify the meeting notice. Please.
This meeting has been noticed in accordance with Idaho Code 74-204.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Here.
Councilmember Jorgensen?
Here.
Councilmember Page?
Here.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Here.
Thanks. If you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item D, changes to the agenda. I don't see any. Item E is the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the very long consent agenda as it is written.
Well, second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Are you sure you don't want to do each of these individually?
As much fun as I think that would be, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Let's go like this.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, and let's call a roll on this. Oh, I'm sorry.
Apologies, Mr. Mayor.
Oh,
I would abstain on the item 1.
okay. So let the record reflect that Councilmember Jorgensen, who wasn't in attendance for item 1, is abstaining on that particular item, but we don't need to change the agenda for that. Just make a note. Okay. Any further discussion? I would call roll, please.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Yes.
Councilmember Page?
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Yes.
Thank you. There's no special business tonight. Item G, ordinances, resolutions, and contracts. We have a public hearing for SUB FY 2025-0003. Council, does anybody need to declare a conflict on this one?
No.
No.
Okay, we're good to go. The order of our business tonight will be, we'll hear from the applicant, let the applicant present this item. Then we'll hear from our staff to discuss the staff report. After that, I'll open the public hearing, and anyone who wishes to testify regarding this item will be allowed to do so. At the close of the testimony from anyone in attendance or online, the applicant will have an opportunity to close out, after which I'll close the public hearing and turn it to the council for deliberation. So with that, who's representing the applicant? Yes. If you would, sir, welcome, first of all.
Thank
Nice
you.
to have you here. Would you give us your name and address, please?
Yes, Ian McLaughlin, address is 116 South 6th Street, Boise, Idaho. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm here with Pivot North Architecture. I'm representing or partially representing the owners. I also have Hannibal with me as well to answer any specific questions related to the development, but I will walk you through the Carry Soul project here. All right. Okay. See if I can get it to move forward. I might just have to, there we go. So a brief overview of the project's location. It's located just to, we'll call it the west of Rosa and Pushing For. For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to say that direction is west towards the river.
I think we all know where Pushing For
Yeah,
is, so you're in
south,
good shape.
towards the east. Yeah, thank you. Just kind of another aerial view so you can better understand the context. So kind of a lot going on that 34th Street side as well. Existing images, context images of the site. So top left, you can kind of see the corner of the Rosa building. Top right is the adjacent property to the south. Bottom left is the power poles, and there's a transformer there currently. And then bottom right is kind of looking towards the intersection of Carr and 35th. So what we're proposing on this site is 6 townhomes. This is being submitted as a PUD, I believe, and as well as a land division. Preliminary plat. That's right. And then, so we're proposing 6 townhomes on the site. Improvements along 35th Street and Carr Street with a private drive accessing those units off the rear. Each will have a 2-car garage. And then as a result of the 6 units, we have 50% guest parking. So those are the 3 stalls accessed off the back. And then towards the south side of the site is our common open space. So we're providing about 16% of the site as that common open space. Then you'll see along the east side between the Rosa restaurant, there's a pedestrian pathway that connects to that common space. So kind of as a resident amenity as well as for public use. So we're proposing this project. We believe it meets the goals of the comprehensive plan. So kind of just highlighting, these are in the staff report as well. Goal 2, improving city image, creating a distinct neighborhood and good design, emphasizing the garden city. So with that common space, really trying to overachieve with the landscaping. Diversity in housing. While this is a compact site, we're not proposing multiple housing types on the site. It is a alternative means to a single family home, which may not be in our best price range. We're providing connections to the city, so pedestrian access, and then improving sidewalks along the streets, and evolving as a destination. So kind of creating that live work or working on that live work and recreation area. So, and proposed community benefits. So compact, efficient housing, enhanced streetscape, as I touched on, ample functional open space for residents, improved access, public artwork, which I'll speak to, increase in tax base, and urban renewal area that'll add revenue directly back to Garden City. So with that, kind of touch on some of those improvements. So 35th Street, a detached sidewalk is being proposed, whereas currently there is no improvements. So that will help beautify that street. Carr Street, attached sidewalk with tree wells. This is that common open space making up 16% of the site. So code minimums 10%. So we're exceeding that by quite a bit. What that means is approximately 152 square feet per resident. Sorry, 152 additional square feet per resident. These are some of the kind of improved access. So that highlighted connection to the east, that pedestrian access, and then the vehicular access taken off 35th Street. So we're separating those, kind of keeping them apart. And then we are proposing a mural wall or artwork along the east side. Have some approximate dimensions there just to kind of help define that as we move forward with ultimately construction and with C of O project. So floor plans, stay high level on this. 2 parking spaces per unit, so 10 feet by 20 feet. Each one meets that requirement. You can see on the left side of the screen, that's our 35th Street facade. So we've reoriented the entry to be off that street per feedback from design review. Going upstairs, we have the living, dining, and the kitchen space. At the 3rd level, we have the primary bedroom and bathroom, and then a secondary bedroom and bathroom. And then at the roof, we have access for a roof deck, which kind of is pulled forward to face towards the river. So have some views just to kind of show high level what that project will look like. This is from the corner of 35th and Carr. So you can see on the right side of the image that entry has been pulled around to 35th Street. We're emphasizing that with some warm wood and have a nice kind of canopy that projects out over that entry. And then a view from Carr Street. So this would be, fairly active with all those residential entries Then you can see on the left side where that pedestrian access would be, and ultimately where we're proposing public artwork. And then lastly, a view from we'll call it south side, that access or that private drive, and then entries, garage entries for each of the units. Materiality, simple palette, proposing some fiber cement siding on the upper portion, stucco or EIFS on the lower portion, and then highlighting the really the pedestrian or the human portions of the building where people interact with it on the balconies and at the entries with wood. And then we would have balconies off the front Carr Street side, and large generous glazing on the windows. Elevations, if we wanted to dive into any details. This top right image, so that's the east elevation that's facing Rosa. So we would kind of propose that bottom white bar. That would be the location of the mural or artwork or whatever that ends up being. Just to kind of better emphasize what is happening at the entry. So we have a recessed entry with kind of a nice canopy projecting out. The image on the left is a built condition that's similar, but doesn't have quite the depth that we're proposing. Civil site plan, in case we want to talk about any drainage or anything like that. The Carr Street road section, sidewalk section on the top, and then the detached sidewalk for 35th Street at the bottom. Landscape plan, so we can kind of speak to plantings that are happening around the site. So I guess just to touch high level, we are in support of the conditions proposed by planning and zoning. There's really only 3 waivers that we were asking for with this application. More than 4 lots served by a shared driveway, reduced setbacks to accommodate attached units, so townhomes. Those first 2 we understand have been remedied with the new zoning code. The third, really, I would say the main one, is a reduced perimeter landscaping on that Rosa side. So instead of 10 feet, we're proposing, I think, 5 to 6 feet. So that's really the main waiver that we're requesting. And with that, I would ask if Hannah would like to speak.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Should I?
Yeah,
Do my name.
we know you, but we need.
About 215 East 34th Street, Garden City, Idaho. Thank you. I'm an owner's representative on this file, and I just wanted to put a couple items on the record, primarily for housekeeping items. So Ian is our wonderful architect with Pivot North, but we are requesting a name change for this file, as well as the primary applicant be the owner's name, and that is Christopher Hammerly for the record. Our second item is, even though these units are shown with a flat roof, this is preliminary plat, preliminary subdivision submittal. We are working through the final designs as well as the final plat of this site. So we are requesting the flexibility to be able to consider our roof designs as well as our draining plans, things of that nature. This is preliminary nature. The other item I wanted to touch on was, as Ian mentioned, we had submitted 3 requests through this application. We submitted in June, and then in July, the code was modified. So 2 of our items that we have requested have now been changed in code. So 2 of those items have been solved, and we, again, discussed after the fact with staff that they're completely codified and fully updated in code today. So we greatly appreciate the city catching this, changing it, and all your efforts to really find that verbiage so that other applications can come through with a little less conflict and be applied more appropriately. So this was just a month shy of that overall code change. So we are asking that council uphold the decision of planning and zoning, and we look forward to your approval or your recommendation of approval this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions of either of our guests, council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Ball. This is just really curiosity, but why the name change? I kind of liked the other name.
Yes. So this is just, as we've seen different variations of this projects over the years, we've worked on this about 2 times. This is the new owners taking on the project and trying to find the identity of its own.
Got it.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. McLaughlin or Mrs. Ball, I'm not sure who to answer this question. So there's one slide in our packet that wasn't addressed, and that was slide 126 that talked about the proposed trash pickup route, and it had kind of the blue line going through it. Can you explain that? Because I didn't see that articulated in your plan. I just wanted to learn more about that.
Yeah, I'll go to, this is Ian again for those online. I'll go to the civil site plan. So in preliminary discussions with the city and Republic Services, we did propose this as a potential route through the site for trash delivery. We are hoping to continue to work with the city and Republic Services to potentially do trash pickup off 35th Street, or sorry, Car and 35th Street. So I removed that slide. That's my mistake. So I guess what we're asking now is to be able to continue to work with the city and Republic Services on that matter.
Okay. So the slide, that's the proposed trash route on the slide. You said that's not the way what I heard is that's changed. Is that right? Or it's maybe phase 2 or something like that. And so are people putting their trash cans on the street? They're going to wheel them down and potentially put 12 trash cans on the street there?
Yeah, so our preference would be to, and again, this needs approval from Republic Services, would be to have 3 of the units put trash on Car Street and then probably 3 of them put trash on 35th Street.
Okay, so they'd split, so we wouldn't have all 12 on one street. Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We'll hear from staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a perfect slide to keep up for my presentation. And to start off, the applicants did a great job in going through their application as well as the discussion at the Planning and Zoning Commission. As you can see here, it's staff's understanding that this is phase 1 of 2 phases of what was previously called the Shavasana subdivision. So you have phase 1, which is before you tonight, and then staff understands that phase 2, a future phase, will be down here as noted on the application materials. And so tonight we're speaking to the 6 proposed units. And the applicant is absolutely correct that they came in right before code change with the plan unit development ordinance or ordinances 1056 and 1057. So those applications don't apply, and there are 3 waivers requested for the 0-foot setbacks, which has since been changed in code. The more than 4 units on a common drive, which has also been changed per code, and then the perimeter landscaping. And that this application is only dealing with 6 units at this point in time. That plan unit development requirement for a variety of housing types isn't triggered in this application. As you'll see in the staff report that starts on page 68 of your packet, the staff who wrote the staff report and has interacted with this application, Ms. Beal, has included some discussion about the planned unit development process and kind of that balance for deviation requests and public benefit. The first of which was suggested in the initial application that went to the Planning and Zoning Commission, that this pathway where the public art is be designated for the public, and then that corresponds with the Casino Beach Art Walk public easement across the way. The commission did recommend to remove that per the request of the applicant. And then a second note is that this is what came to the Planning and Zoning, this configuration. This would be a temporary roadway to alleviate that need for the trash enclosures to be on street. And at that time, at the Planning and Zoning Commission, the applicant hadn't really honed in what they were thinking about doing that on-cart service on the street. And so they weren't sure if it was all going to be on one street or another. And what I understood, and certainly in the rebuttal, the applicant could speak to this, is they didn't want to encumber this, this particular easement, the way that it would go across the property. I would like to suggest if they should want to maintain a temporary roadway with an easement, I believe that there are ways to draft an easement that could be flexible, just requiring that there be a connection with this subdivision or this phase to a future road with a certain width that's what would be required by Republic Service should they want something to go all the way through, or we never know what this development could end up looking like. Perhaps they would want to have something that just comes down here and then have the whole of this street be townhomes, for example, and then they would have the trash enclosure already for this phase. As they're in phases, they don't have this developed as of yet, and so they're not quite sure what they want to do. But the Planning and Zoning Commission did take this out, so it's not included in the recommendation to you today. And so one thing that's just a minor occurrence that occurs with that, should you agree with that recommendation, is this area right here would need perimeter landscaping, and that it's showing that the driveway goes to the edge of property. And that is not included in the recommendation either. So that perimeter landscaping would need to go across and the asphalt early, or staff would suggest, even if they don't use it, an easement that's available for this property to be able to address the trash in the meantime, or they might not end up using it when phase 2 comes through, depending on how it would go through. And with that, I did want to note that just off of the top of my head, I went through where the city really has been trying to encourage, especially in more dense projects, to not have on-street trash services, because those trash cans can be so repetitive, and if they stay within the sidewalk, or even if they're out in the public parking and people don't pick them up in a timely manner, or if it's windy and they get knocked over, they can be a little bit of a nuisance. And so there are a number of applications I could think of off the top of my head where they were required to be on site. There are applications where they weren't. One was actually required to be on site, but it went through and changed ownership with the plat signed, and the city didn't end up with an easement. And Republic Services won't pick up on site without an easement or agreement. And an adjacent subdivision utilized that, showing that they had planned on being able to do the same. But aside from those two, staff really wasn't able, off the top of my head, without going into a deep search, to think through of other applications that don't have on-site refuse pickup. And you are the final decision maker for this application tonight, so you can approve the project, deny the project, approve with additional conditions, or continue for more information. And again, just to remind you what conditions are and are not in your packet under the recommendations. The perimeter landscaping at this terminus is not in the condition, or the requirement for an easement and trash services, and nor is the public easement. And the two of those were removed in the recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Commission. With that, I stand for questions.
Questions of staff? Yes.
Ms. Dornborough, so you mentioned we've had projects where the trash receptacle's on site, and I recall those. But if that was a requirement, would that eat into their percentage that requirement for open space or landscaping on the property as well? And then, do you cause another problem if you force them to have that receptacle on site? Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
Mayor, Councilmember Jacobs, I don't think so. So you're saying if, the trash receptacle was like down here, if that would eat into their open space?
Right.
Yes, they do have open space there, but they have, I'm trying to think of the right word, an abundance. They're not overly tight, that they're not right at the limit on their open space.
So if they decided to do that, it wouldn't cause them to be in deviation of a different code, is my question.
Mayor, Councilmember Jacobs, depending on what they were to propose, but just a gut check without looking at the details, I would say, I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions of staff? Hearing none, I will open the public hearing on SUV FY 2025-0003. Do we have anybody signed up to testify?
No, Mr. Mayor, I do not.
Okay, we don't have any. Is there anyone here that isn't signed up that would like to testify regarding this item? Okay, looks like our technology's working tonight. So do we have anyone that's joined us remotely that would like to testify regarding this item? Okay, seeing none, let the record reflect that no one indicated a interest in testifying regarding this application. With that, I'll close the public hearing on SUB FY 2025-0003. And I'll ask the applicant, do you have any closing remarks? Applicant, yes, okay.
Thank you so much. I'll just touch on
Okay, we have Hannah Ball again for the record.
Hannah Ball, 215 East 34th Street. Trash is always a consideration. And again, it's something we really need to take a deeper dive into. Again, this is preliminary plat. So you'll see this application come through with final detailing for final plat. One thing I really would like to do as we start writing these CC&Rs is really take a deeper dive into the trash conversation. We have a 2-car garage, so we are at appropriate parking capacity. But what we'd like to do on a project like this is write the CC&Rs to really instruct the end user on the importance of being a good neighbor and keeping trash in and out at appropriate times. We'd also like to make sure that they store the trash cans in their own garages. I think that makes everybody responsible for the amount of trash and moving around the site, and it just makes for good neighbors. So again, you will see that as we return to you for final plat. We agree that when we come back for that final plat application, if our roadway does not connect based on the fact that we are going to design our phase 2 to a new code, that's why we didn't want to call out, because we're going to apply your latest code to our phase 2 project. So if we do not punch the road as drafted, we are absolutely in agreement to put appropriate preliminary landscape to continue that line and make it look cohesive in that manner. So again, when we return to you, we will have those details fine-tuned. Thank you so much.
This is a curiosity. One of the challenges we have when we count garage storage as parking is that garages many times end up as storage for things other than automobiles. So I know you think these things through a lot. One of the things that we're beginning to see down there more and more, about down there, I mean, in the redevelopment areas on the east side of town, is that approved parking slots aren't available because they're being repurposed and we're pushing parking out on to the streets. And in an area, particularly I'm thinking around Push and Pour, the street parking there is pretty important to that particular business. And of course, Rosa and some of the other properties are along there. So Uh, In your CCNRs, is there, and again, this is a curiosity, have you thought about how maybe you can encourage people to use their garages for their automobiles?
We've drafted language to say your vehicle needs to be stored in your garage. So, because that was Casino Beach that drafted language to say your vehicle primarily needs to be in your garage. The available parking that's on the street is for guests, it's for patrons, it's for people to actively move around our community. And again, I want to take it a step further and really also encourage the trash to be in the garage for a variety of reasons. This is unique. We haven't seen both putting language to say your car and your trash are going to start being in your garage. But the reason I think that that's important moving forward is we can have we have a single toter of actual trash, and then we can even just have it's like a box for the recycling, and really encouraging people to break down their boxes for recycling just makes the residents be able to organize their own garage as it should be. It should be for your car, your bikes, and your trash. And so really kind of sorting that and then again, making it well organized. So we are going to talk to Republic on a smaller trash can and a bin for the recycling. Another thing we're going to do is, again, put language in the CCNRs to really speak to, please get in a habit of breaking down your boxes, really kind of making people be aware that these are tight and compact spaces. But once they're organized and done right, another thing we've talked about on this site specifically is making garage shelving. So as the person moves into the home, the cans are already there. They're already labeled. They already have, appropriate garage storage so that people aren't tasked to go to Republic Services and get their own trash cans. Because I find them getting the bigger ones. And it's like, no, you needed the smaller one. So it's just really thinking and having those conversations and going to Republic Services and saying, what kind of unique smaller systems do you have that you're coming up with? We'd like to apply them to a site like this.
Great. Thanks, Hannah.
Yes, thank you guys.
Okay, anything further, council? Okay, the matter is properly before the council for deliberation.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I would like to start.
Okay.
This one's a head scratcher. I have spent some time looking at this the last several days. Look, it doesn't make sense to have a perimeter landscaping requirement at the terminus of that road. This road, the private road, if it's just gonna need to be kind of torn down later to be punched through. And I realize no one has a crystal ball. No one knows what will happen there. The market can change, owners change, lots of projects change hands before they're completed. But I don't think it's the role of council to make these decisions for the applicant. I think I'm much more comfortable with a firm, this is what we want to do, this is why we want to do it, and then we have something to talk about and discuss. I don't want to guide the market. I want the market to be driven by the property owner. I'm a big fan of property rights. So those are just my personal feelings, but I don't want to dictate and legislate these kinds of things where there's not a firm ask of what to do with that space. That's my initial thought.
So just to clarify for me, so that's something that could be addressed with the final plat when you know what's going to happen?
I mean, I realize it's a preliminary plat, but I mean, we're talking about some pretty big things. An easement's a legally binding document, right? And I realize that there's tools to modify an easement once it's been made, but that's a big open question, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if you'll indulge me, could I recall Director Thornborough?
Sure.
Mayor, Councilmember Jorgensen.
Director, you indicated that you believe that there were methods that could manage the easement requirements and be potentially conditioned here. Could you elaborate on that?
Mayor, Councilmember Jorgensen, I think that there could be a requirement with if, ands, or buts in it to start off with. Saying if there is a connection, future connection, proposed once that phase 2 comes in. Granted, we don't know, I believe that the applicant is starting to think through that, but we haven't received that application yet. The other is language that could say the easement is granted in XYZ condition, and is not a fixed location. It's kind of a blanket easement, but only encumber whatever that space would need to be, a blanket easement that somewhere on that property, 20 feet of access through the property for the adjacent property access, as well as Republic Services. And then if that is the case, and say they move that access road and it terminates up along the property, just going to jump right back into the applicant's presentation. Here, so say this came through and they brought this road down here, but Republic Services could still get in and out. And both of these properties are using the same access point as an example. It would take some work, and we would engage Mr. Wadhams, no doubt, and they would engage somebody to make sure that that easement is worded in such that saying for the purposes of Republic Services and cross access. And so ideally, usually when we're dealing with easements, we like a nice legal description and it's permanent, but we do, I believe it, and perhaps Mr. Wadhams can opine if he thinks I'm out to lunch on this, that a blanket
Jenna, can you
easement.
share your screen?
Yes.
Because I don't see it on my laptop. Thank you.
Thank you for the reminder. And so perhaps there's a blanket easement that requires somewhere on the property that there be a fire rated or a rated roadway, either temporarily. So there may need to be 2 easements, one temporarily and then one to be permanent should the 2 phases end up working together. And I apologize that it kind of puts Mr. Wadhams on the spot, whether or not he agrees with me that there could be language that's flexible enough.
Well, you can always establish a specific easement area now. If they want to change it, you vacate it and adopt the new one at the same time.
And Mayor, you were absolutely correct in that too.
So that's something that can get handled, I think. Go ahead, Mr. Wadhams.
I thought Councilmember Jorgensen
Oh.
had the floor. I will defer.
We'll defer.
Mr. Wadhams, do you want to?
I
Respond.
heard, thank you, Mayor, Councilmember Jorgensen. A couple of things I heard were temporary easements and perpetual easements. That's certainly things we can do. I heard like conditioning an easement now and maybe changing the location of it later. That would be okay. That would be legal. But if the location changes, it would have to come back in front of council. Also, if we don't have a description or a location of the specific location of the easement right now, that will also have to come back to council once that is determined. So yeah, is it legal for a to be determined? Yes, but it'll have to come back in front of the council at some point in time, if that answers the questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wadhams. So.
And I agree with Ms. Thornborough and the mayor.
Thanks. So, President of the Council, I agree. What I heard was a request for leniency or understanding that the roof line and drainage options may change. The one concern that I do have and that I think we need to identify is that there must be an easement or access that is defined for services. I think that would be irresponsible not to have some type of definition to provide that access.
Thank you, Councilmember Jorgensen. By services, do you mean emergency services and public services, or do you mean Amazon
Correct.
packages and pizza delivery?
Although I understand the convenience needs for a development, I'm far more concerned about safety, access, and utilities, republic services, et cetera.
Noted. I'm not sure that that's required at the preliminary level. Is that in fact required? I know it's a final plat requirement.
Well,
My question is, would Republic Services be able to even sign off on the development without some identified easement?
well, I think you can keep in mind that the applicants represented to us on the record that the drive indicated on the application for the units we're looking at tonight is going to extend in some fashion to make a connection to another street. And that connection should be identified, in my mind, at the final plat. And when the final plat comes in, they need to demonstrate where that connection is. If they change their mind at a future time, you still have the option to come in to the council and say, well, we've changed our mind. This is an alternate connection, but it's still a connection. And then again, you vacate one and you adopt the other one at the same time. So I think trying to answer the questions that aren't really here, the applicant's unable to present tonight. I think you just give them the latitude, as I'm hearing this application, is, hey, we got to make a connection. We got to deal with public services. We're just coming here with a preliminary plat. And we understand that those issues are going to have to be resolved before we come back with a final plat. We got to answer those questions. So preliminary is preliminary, and final is, okay, we've crossed the T's and dotted the I's. You're going to deal with the roof. You're going to deal with all that stuff. So basically, you've got a request for a land use request for the units in this particular configuration on this particular piece of property. And it's a phased project. And this is phase one. And the details that we've been discussing, some of them have yet to be determined, but they must be determined at the final plat stage. So nobody's really locked anything down on those particular issues we discussed tonight, but they'll have to be at the final plat. So if you approve the preliminary plat, you're saying, okay, you can do this, as long as when you come back with the final plat, you've dealt with the trash and the connection and you know, if there was a little landscape issue there, and you deal with it then.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Well said. I think it's a nice development, and I would agree with Mayor Evans. One question is, how far out? It seems like a lot of these questions would be answered if we kind of had a better idea of what phase two would look like. Is how far out are we to just seeing this as kind of one project, and then we could see it all, and it might just answer everything, and we're good to go.
Okay. You have a question
for the applicant, I guess.
Okay, I'll recall the applicant. Come on up, answer that question. Remind us who you are, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council. Hannibal. So a lot of good points. We are currently designing, we have had a pre-con application with Hannah last week on what we would like to call phase two. However, it's bad to say phase two. These are two separate projects. Our intent was that they would each individually be able to stand on their own. So meaning they are not bound because we didn't attach these applications. We have two applications moving through the bodies. So even though you'll see a design coming in on 34th Street, it's not a phase 1 and phase 2 technically. 2 different applications moving through the systems. Hannah's recommendation is to use for the 34th Street side project, use not, a new code, new application, all the new pieces that are in code to date. So that's our first point. Second point is we do have a letter from Republic Services saying, hey, your individual toters, absolutely you can put on the street side, no big deal. So this connection punch that you see, our project, our first phase or the 35th Street side project, it can stand on its own. It meets the goals of Republic Services, it meets fire, it meets all the life safety items. So they're already saying, hey, it's done. You can just take your cans to the Carr Street side, but we need to just work on, can we do Carr and 35th Street? How are we writing those CC&Rs to make sure that it's appropriate? But this project on its own today can stand on its own merit. We don't need that drive aisle to punch through. We might want it if it helps the connectivity and vehicles and things of that nature. But as of right now, we're asking that this first phase be able to stand on its own. We'll come back with final letters, final art program, things of that nature, perimeter landscape. So we will return those items. But to Council Member Jorgensen's point, does this meet safety as of now and even Republic Services? It does to date. We have a letter from Republic saying, hey, you can put single cans on the street side. But if you do a commercial trash can, we need an easement to drive our truck through your property, and that's understandable. So today, we would like single toters, and we would like this project to stand on its own. If we need to do a commercial trash can, we'll make sure that there's an appropriate easement in place to Charlie's language that he recommends and with Republic Services. So again, it's bad form. I'm not trying to blend these projects. This project needs to stand on its own.
Thank you for explaining.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. So thank you for your presentations tonight. One of the things I'm thinking about with this access road, and maybe we're fine with it, but I understand this to be made of temporary materials until the other project would be started or whatever, and then it could be even in a different location. So then I also wonder, are people going to be driving to Push and Pour or Roses and see this roadway and possibly turn up this temporary roadway and park in the lot? Or people are they going to drive all the way through? So that's something I'm thinking about. And so I'm just, in my brain, I'm kind of leaning towards the opposite of just having the driveway end before we get to the temporary road and a cut through that lot. Is kind of where I'm leaning at.
Okay. Well, I think, unless I misunderstood Ms. Ball, she wants the application to stand on its own. And it's really not a phase 1, it's just its own application, right? Okay. Jen, I've got to ask you a question because my apologies, I'm not as familiar with our new code. I don't have it memorized. If this project was standing alone, in other words, there was no easement for a connection through, and we're looking at what we've been talking about as phase 1, but not as phase 1, as a standalone project. Would fire require a turnaround?
Mayor, not in this instance.
Okay.
The reason for that is there's street access that surrounds this application.
Okay, that was my only question. So,
Okay.
so it could stand alone
It could stand alone.
with no easement, with nothing.
Mayor, that is correct, unless
Okay.
you wanted to make the trash interior to the application. And then this doesn't provide a hammerhead for the backup and movement that would be required.
Okay, so you can look at it on its own, and the applicant has a letter from Republic saying they'll pick the totes up on the street, just,
Mayor, it's our understanding from the correspondence, I can't speak to the letter specifically, but the trash would be allowed to be picked up on the
Okay.
street.
okay, so do we all understand the standalone nature now? I didn't until just a few minutes ago. Okay,
Thank you.
okay, well,
That clears that up.
that clears that up. So, anything further, council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry, any other comments? Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve SUB FY 2025-0003 preliminary plat. I will add the condition that if this is a standalone project by final plat, there needs to be a landscape plan for that perimeter. And then once it no longer becomes a standalone and we're connecting, then decisions can be made at that time with that application.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second discussion on the motion. Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Jorgensen?
Yes.
Councilmember Page?
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Item G2, we'll move to resolution 1225-25. Mr. Wadums, is this yours?
It's partially mine. I can summarize it. It's okay with mayor and council. It's primarily the police department, but I did the legal for the police. So if mayor, members of the council, this resolution is on page 140. 140 of your packet. It is to renew the Garden City Police Department's workspace at the Ada County Victim Services Center. That's at 417 South 6th Street. That's been there for years. It used to be called Faces of Hope. It went through a transition back in 24, so now it's called Ada County Victim Services Center. For those that don't know, they do a great job down there. That's like a one-stop shop for victims of crimes of violence or sexual assault, so on. You can go there. Police are there, the doctors are there, or nurses are there staffed, and also victim witness coordinators. And the Garden City Police Department has a workspace there, and when they need to help out victims, that's a place they can go and help them. It's close to the courthouse, not out in Meridian. This is a standard renewal. It doesn't cost Garden City a dime. It's a license agreement. It's not a lease agreement. I think the county offers that in terms of partnership for law enforcement, and I recommend approval of resolution 1225-25. Thank you.
Any questions of staff? Okay, what's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just real quick, this is a building where lives are changed. I would encourage people to visit. There's an open house on the 16th called Steps Against Domestic Violence. And that begins at 1. There's a number of representatives and the executive director will be on hand. I've been in this building many times and it's powerful. The work there it's so important. I'm looking forward to seeing the Garden City space inside. I haven't had a chance to look at that space in particular, but I enthusiastically move to approve resolution 1225-25.
Enthusiastically second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Page?
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Yes.
Councilmember Jorgensen?
Yes.
Thank you. Item G3, ordinance 1058-25. This is prohibiting motorized craft on the river, so we're on the same page as our neighbors. So we're kind of mirroring the Boise ordinance, so we have a consistent law enforcement rule along the river. We don't want people skiing out there running over floaters. So
Mayor, if I may,
Please add, Mr. Waters.
Mayor, members of the council, the only thing I wanted to add is the memorandum is on page 145 of your packet. It's drafted as violations are an infraction, not a misdemeanor, with a set fine of $100 plus court costs. The wording is consistent with the Ada County Code and the Boise City Code. It was the Ada County Sheriff's legal advisor that reached out to me at the beginning of the summer, and one of the legal advisors for Boise, asking for a unified approach, similar like what we did with the Greenbelt. We now have a unified approach on the Greenbelt. This will make a unified approach on the Boise River for motorized watercrafts, including motorcrafts. So if Lime, once the Lime can't put their, if there's a watercraft by Lime,
Oh,
they
they'll
cannot
come, I'm
put it
sure.
in Boise River. If this passes, I'm recommending 3 readings. There's no emergency. We're at the end of the float season. If you're asking, it's about once or twice every couple years, I get a complaint with somebody with a jet ski or somebody with a fishing boat with a propeller on the back or somebody partying. So this would be a unified approach up and down the Boise River. And I'm going to recommend 3 readings on this one.
Makes sense.
Okay. Any questions of staff?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Wadums, is the $100 fine the maximum before it leaves a misdemeanor qualification?
Mayor, Councilmember Jorgensen, we cannot go higher than the Idaho Code, and the Idaho legislature a couple years ago, actually, I believe, went up, and now infractions can be up to a $300 fine plus court costs. It has to be a fixed amount. It's a fixed amount that the mayor and the council decide on. The council decide on. It could be $100 plus court costs, could be $200 plus court costs, or it could be $300 plus court costs. The $100 plus court costs, I grab that because that's what a violation on the Greenbelt is currently with our new legislation on the Greenbelt. So, but certainly if you wanted to make it a more expensive infraction, you could go up to $300. Court costs on an infraction is $57.50. So if it was $100, somebody'd have to pay $157.50 if they were found guilty of a violation of a jet ski on the Boise River, or as the case may be.
What does Boise find?
Mayor, Councilmember Jacobs, that's why I'm asking for 3 readings. Michael Fondino is the legal advisor for Boise. He was just emailing me today. I haven't heard back from him. I'll make sure it's consistent.
Yeah, let's just
And
make it consistent.
yeah, I think it's easier for the officers if they're really going to cite somebody on a jet ski. If all the municipal infractions are the same, just $100 plus court costs, that helps the officer out, it helps the courthouse out. And I think a unified approach along those lines is my recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, further questions? Okay, I guess the action would be a first reading.
Mr. Mayor.
By title only, please.
I move that we would proceed with our first reading of ordinance 1058-25. By title
By
only.
title only?
By title only. Thank you very much.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Yes.
Councilmember Jorgensen?
Yes.
Councilmember Page?
Yes.
First reading ordinance 1058-25, an ordinance of the City of Garden City, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, adopting a new Chapter 21 prohibited acts on the Boise River in Title 4 Public Health and Safety, prohibiting motorized watercraft, approving a summary of the ordinance and providing an effective date.
Great, thank you. That concludes the business on our agenda this evening. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.
Geez, after only 1 month, I'm out of practice on singing by title only.